Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you everyone for coming in. In order to help you a little bit ease into that afternoon nap after lunch, we will start this talk with a little thought experiment. So I'd like you please, everyone, to just close your eyes for a couple of moments, completely. Imagine the weight and texture of a check in your hands. It's a $100,000 check. Once you start to feel that check in your hands, you can open your eyes now. Okay, let's play along. You are in a quiet hospital room. You have that check in your hand. And there is a man in the bed in that hospital room. He's 90 years old. A library of memories. And he needs a surgery that costs exactly those $100,000 you have. Without this surgery, he dies tomorrow. And you're about to hand this $100,000 check to his family. Just then, your assistant, a young and very bright economics PhD, and you trust her completely, steps forward and quietly asks you to pause. She explains that sum could buy you 20,000 anti-malarial bed nets in Africa. Statistically, and according to very rigorous and irrefutable science, this could save the lives of 20 children, each of them having approximately 60 years of life left in them. That's versus 5 years at best for the 90-year-old man. So what would you do in that situation? Leave that check in your hand. We'll be back to solve this. 14 centuries ago, one of Prophet Muhammad's most trusted companions, Mu'adh ibn Jabal, was appointed governor of Yemen. His mandate was very clear: collect zakah from the wealthy and give it to the poor. In his first year, he sent a third of it to Medina. In the second, he sent half. In the third year, he sent it all. And when Al-Khalifa at that time, Umar ibn al-Khattab, he was concerned and he told him, Mu'adh, I didn't send you to Yemen to be a tax collector. I sent you to take from the rich and give to the poor. And actually he answered him in a very logical answer. If I had found even one person in need in Yemen, I wouldn't have sent you a single dirham. And that is not the story of choosing community over science. It's a story of a system so effective at that time, so at the local level, it eliminated the need entirely. And the goal wasn't just to alleviate poverty, but to kill it and to build self-sufficient community. And that's the faith-giving proximity logic, advancing indigenous capacities, self-reliance, and homegrown resilience. And then let's fast forward 13 centuries later. In the 70s, and particularly in 1972, philosopher Peter Singer posed a very different question to his students at Princeton and later at Oxford. You are walking past a shallow pond, and you see a child drowning. You can easily reach out and save that child, but you will certainly ruin your very expensive suit, your very expensive shoes, and probably also you'll miss a couple of hours from work. What do you do in that case? Do you save the child? The answer was very obvious at that time to all the students, unanimously: yes, we will save the child, because a child's life is infinitely more valuable than a suit, than a shoe, and probably than all the hours of work combined. But then Singer, in a very similar fashion to the trolley dilemma, which I think most of you are aware of, he makes it just a little bit harder. He argues that all of us, right here and right now, are walking past that pond and we're not even aware of it. And that girl is dying right here and right now. And this logic is rock solid. Every year, 5 million children under 5 die. To be very precise, 4.8 million children. And half of them, let's say 2.5 million, they die from very preventable causes, like hunger. And the money we spend every day on luxuries, shoes, mobile phones, could actually save them, at least some of them. For Singer, distance was morally irrelevant. Faith proximity paradigm did not exist. Our obligation is to save the most lives we can with the resources we have, and that's the paradigm of optimization, which is the contrary of the paradigm of proximity. Use reason and evidence to do the most good possible, no matter where the need is. Mu'adh kept wealth local until no one needed it locally. Singer says distance is morally irrelevant. A drowning child is a drowning child, whether in Princeton or in Bangladesh. Well, both are obviously right. We have paradigms at odds. We now have the moral truth seemingly walking into opposite direction. And that was just the first tension, because from there, these two paradigms keep clashing everywhere. They clash on the very nature of money itself. In the Islamic tradition, the source matters profoundly. Wealth must be, we say, tayyib, or pure, and rightfully earned. One of the first acts of the Khalifa Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was to institute a policy of radd al-mazalim, or giving what was unjustly acquired, even if it was for Bayt al-Mal, which was at that time the main institution responsible for giving zakah. That was more or less the Ministry of Social Solidarity at that time. The principle is clear. Tainted wealth cannot be purified by donating it. The source corrupts the stream. Let's contrast this with Oscar Chandler, famously portrayed by Liam Neeson in the Academy Award-winning motion picture Chandler's List, which probably most of you have seen. He made his fortune through very shady practices, bribing Nazis, dealing in the black market, and with that bad money, he saved hundreds of lives. For effective altruists, Chandler is a hero. Outcomes justify the means. But in Omar's worldview, it's non-negotiable. The source still corrupts the stream. Then they clash on the relative value of money as well, not just its nature. In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus honors the widow whose 2 small coins out of her poverty represent all she had to live on. Likewise, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us that a man who gave a dirham out of 2 was better than someone who gave 100,000 dirhams. It's clear here that faith giving has its own very unique logical framework, where the input of that framework is the means and the ends as well. In the language of effective altruism, the contradiction is clear. The act of giving is only a tool. It has zero moral value on its own. If you spend money without knowing its impact or to causes of lower efficiency, you're not just throwing money away or doing something neutral. You are actively causing a net loss of potential lives, because that money could have been given to causes that have better efficiency, so saving more lives. But nowhere is this clash more visceral than in humanitarian crisis. Consider the data. An effective altruism organization, like GiveWell, for example, calculates the cost of saving a life through a malaria prevention program at around $5,000. That same life, the metric economists call it quality-adjusted life here, can cost 10, 20, 50, or 100 times more in a conflict zone like Sudan or Gaza. The overheads is much higher, the service delivery cost is much higher, the risk is much greater, the impact is much harder to measure, and as dark as it sounds, the probability of the person you are helping seeing another daylight is statistically much less. The cold, hard math of optimization says, redirect the funds for the cost of saving 1 life in a war zone, we can save 20 or even 100 lives in a peaceful one. It is a brutal and dark logic, but an internally consistent logic as well. But then we remember the verse from the Quran, وَمَنْ أَحْيَاهَا وَكَأَنَّمَا أَحْيَا النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا. He who saves 1 life as if he saved all of humanity. And we get stuck again between the paradigms. The lives that we can see and the lives we cannot see. A paradigm drawing us to the greatest suffering, and another paradigm drawing us to the greatest efficiency. And here's the tragedy. It's a very hard question to answer. For decades, we have been told we must choose. Today, I see that we could just make it our way. We just have to work a little bit harder. Consider this. Global zakah is estimated at least to be around $500 billion annually. Yet studies suggest that much of it fails to reach those who need it the most. Not because Muslims don't give, but because we lack the infrastructure to operate Yemen's proximity paradigm with scientific precision. And the answer is fusion. We use the tools of optimization to serve the wisdom of proximity. Imagine Zakah committees using Give Directly, cash transfer technology that they utilize in Kenya, for example. And imagine Waqf endowments managed with the same people who managed Harvard endowment. And imagine Islamic microfinance programs scaled with the same mindset of Silicon Valley venture capitalists. Very efficient system, but rooted in community trust. The world of global development as we know it, it's not changing. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a fact we have to face. We are living in an era of aid reduction and donor fatigue. And I say this is a great opportunity to us, all of us at the Global South. It's an opportunity to finally learn what Muaz in Yemen knew 14 centuries ago, that true strength is self-sufficiency. But this cannot be left to chance. It requires a new framework. Nonprofits, including Zakah institutions, are required by law to meet rigorous standards of financial and legal compliance. We audit their books. We track every dollar. Why? To prevent corruption. How about well-intended ignorance? Well-intended ignorance. And to my mind, the effects of well-intended ignorance, I repeat that 3 times because it's the key. It's well-intended, but its ignorance are far more devastating than any form of corruption. Wasted potential, to me, is a greater evil than missing any single line item. And a life not saved due to a colorful program that looks good in photographs but wastes people's money and hopes is a loss that no ledger can ever capture. It is the day that I see our nonprofits and charities mandated by law and by the community to pass a rigorous independent impact audit every year with the same diligence they are required to pass a financial audit. And it is that day I see people demand to see not just where their donations went, but the evidence of the good it has done. That is the day I know that poverty itself will die. And so we finally return to that hospital room and that same $100,000 check, the grandfather and the 20 children, and I leave you with no answer at all. Thank you very much.